All right, we are on. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for logging in and joining us today. My name is Natalia, and I will be one of your instructors today. Amelia is also here with me. She will be the other instructor. So, I am so glad everyone's here today. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with this practice that I put here on the screen for you. Make sure to scan it, excuse me, and get started. Get started with that little quiz. It's kind of getting you warmed up and ready to do what we're going to work on today. And we're going to base a lot of our questions from this quiz. So scan that, and we're going to give you a couple of minutes to work on it. So I'm going to mute myself. I'm still here. So if you have questions, you can send them to me in the chat. And someone from our team is also on our YouTube. So if you have questions, you can leave your comments on there. So if you don't hear me, don't be alarmed. We're both here. We're just giving you a chance to work on that quiz. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then we're going to jump back in. We're going to split up into two small groups, and we're going to review this. All right. Now, just a reminder, this is our ASVAB preview class, and we're opening this up to the public so you can come in and meet us and see what we're all about. We are 2 out of a team of instructors, and we do this every single week with our group classes, okay? So that's it. Go ahead and get started with that quiz, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Good luck. Okay, everyone, this is just a reminder. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes to finish this quiz, and then we'll go ahead and get started with our class. If you're done, thank you so much for your patience. And if you're not, no worries. You still got 2 more minutes, okay? Okay, everyone. So, I hope that was enough time. If it wasn't, that's okay. You can retake this quiz as many times as you want. That's a reusable link, so make sure to keep it open as a tab, either in your phone, tablet, or laptop, however it is that you're joining us today. But you can retake that quiz. Go ahead and submit it so that you can kind of see what you got right or wrong. And we'll get started. Okay, so I know a couple people joined us a little late, so to just welcome everyone again, my name is Natalia and I am one of your instructors today. Joining me is also Amelia. We're both going to be working with you today. We like to keep our numbers small in our groups, so we're actually going to split you guys into two small groups so that we can get as much one-on-one or personal time with you all as possible, okay? So what we'll be reviewing today are some of the questions from the quiz you just completed. And if you have any other questions, as soon as you are in your group, just let one of us know and we will review it with you as well. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and split us into groups real quick. All right, let's do it. I'm opening up the room right now. Some of you may have gotten a message to join the other room. Go ahead and accept it. The rest of you guys stay here with me. Amelia is going to the other room with everyone. Okay, awesome. Jessica, Lisa, Marcia. You should get a pop-up, Lisa. Go ahead and accept the invitation. Perfect. Okay, everyone. So here we go. Let's get started. Let me share. I have the screenshots here. Let me know what questions stood out for you. Sorry, from the quiz. Are there any questions that you're like, man, I really want to go over this? You're more than welcome to either open your mic and tell me, or you can send it to me in the chat. If you are on YouTube, you can go ahead and send a message on YouTube, and our team member will relay that to me so that I can go over it here with you. Okay, Julia, got it. No worries, take your time. All right, what section did you guys feel was maybe the most challenging? Would you say it was the reading, the word knowledge, the arithmetic reasoning, or the mathematics knowledge? Okay, the math. Okay, yeah, a couple of you are saying the math. Is there any specific question you want me to review, or you guys are just like, do all the math because it was terrible? All of it, okay. All right, let's do it then. Let me skip forward to the math part. If you're still working on it, oh, here we go. Here's the first one. I apologize if I'm spoiling it for you.
It's
But let's
okay,
jump.
thank you.
Okay, all right, good. So let's start with the first question. What I'll do is if I see there's a question that everyone's really struggling with, I'll give you another question that's similar to it, and we'll practice there, and then we'll move on, okay? So this question says, Miss Jackson's rent during the past year was $12,775. Does everybody see that on the screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so her rent was 35% of her income last year. What was Miss Jackson's total income last year? All right, so with this question, basically, we know that this is a percent question. How do I know that? Because I see this here. Once I see a percent question, I know, all right, this is how I'm going to work through it. I already have my, like, what do you call this? My formula that I use every single time. So my formula here is going to be part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay? Give me 1 second, everyone. Okay, perfect. Julia, no, you cannot use a calculator during the test. That's a great question. So make sure that you are comfortable with doing all of the calculations by hand and that you can do it quickly because you will not be allowed a calculator on the ASVAB. Okay, back to this question. So our formula is part over whole equals percent over 100. Now, a percentage represents a part out of 100. So essentially, we're comparing part over whole with the percentage over 100. It's comparing a part out of a whole, okay? Now, here, let's see if we can identify which of these components are parts and wholes. Now, the rent during the past year, is this her total income or is this a part of her income? What do you guys think? Very good, Cheyenne. This is part, okay? You don't spend your entire income on rent, hopefully, right? So, so this is a part. Now, 35% is saying that this is her rent, all right? So does this represent a part or a whole? This represents the rent, which is the part. So that means that this matches this and we're good to go. And then it's asking what was Miss Jackson's total income last year. So what we're looking for here is the whole. Okay, now it doesn't tell us what the total income is, it asks us for the total income. So we're going to call this X because this is our unknown. And now we're going to plug everything into our equation or our formula, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to move forward with those steps. So here I'm going to rewrite this as I put my two fractions. My part is 12,775. My whole is going to be X because I don't know what the total income is. All right. On the right side, we put our percentage, 35%. This here is the rent, and this represents the percent of rent. They are the same, so we can move forward. Okay, this works. And we always want to check that because sometimes our questions can be more complicated than this and they don't always match. So we always check ourselves. And 100 always goes here. It just always goes there. Okay. Now we're going to cross multiply because anytime we have two fractions equal to each other, we can cross multiply them and solve like that. So we do X times 35 is 35X. And we do 12,775 times 100. I'm going to show you a little shortcut here. We're going to multiply this whole thing by 1, which is just itself. Anytime we multiply something by 1, it's just itself, okay? And we're going to add 0, 0. 1 for each 0 in the 100. Okay? All right, so now we're going to divide this by 35. This is where it gets fun. Division makes everything more fun. All right, so no one ever. All right, here we go. So 12,77500 divided by 35. So I know that 35 times 4 gives me 140. I know that 35 times 2 gives me 70. So I'm going to be somewhere in between. 35 times 3 gives me 105. I know that off the top of my head, but you can always estimate. If you want to do maybe, not times 5, sorry, times 3. If you want to round this to 40, 40 times 3 gives me 120. So I know it's going to be closer. 40 times 4 is too much. It's 160. So that estimating like that helps you work with bigger numbers and kind of land somewhere close. So I'm not doing a bunch of math and wasting my time. So 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So 35 times 3 is 105. We put the 3 right here, and we write 105 beneath so we can subtract. Let me slide this over so we have some space to work with. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. I bring down my 7. All right, 35 times what gives me 227? So let's round that thing again to 40 and let's think about it. 40 times 5 gives me 200. 40 times 6 gives me 240, which is pretty close. So let's try 35 times 6. And if that's too much, then we'll do 35 times 5, okay? Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my pen there. All right, here we go. 6 times 5 is 30, carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 3 is 21. Perfect, 210. So we put this here, 210. 7 minus 0 is 7. 2 minus 1 is 1. I bring down my 5. So 35 into 175. Now, let's round again to 40. 35 times, 40 times 4 is 160. That's pretty close. 40 times 5 is 200. That's really close also. So let's try 35 times 5. Just let's see if that works. 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. It's exactly 175. So we put a 5 up here. We bring down the 175 and we get 0. Now, we're not done here. We still have to bring down the other zeros. So we bring down a 0. 35 goes into 0, 0 times. We bring down the other 0. 35 goes into 0, 0 times. This is where a lot of people make a mistake. This is where they stop, they forget to bring down the zeros, and that gives them the wrong answer. Okay, so be careful with that. Make sure that you're bringing down every single number and you don't stop halfway. So my answer here is 36,500. I'm going to come back up to my question. And my answer here is C. Okay? Any questions? I know this was a lot of math. Any questions about any of these steps? All right, so no problem. That's good. Let's go ahead and try a similar question. I want to make sure you guys are understanding this. It is not the same to watch someone do math. When you're practicing for the ASVAB, you're studying for the ASVAB, you have to actually do the math yourself. You got to practice. So if you've been studying and you're not sure why your grade is not, or your score is not improving, it could be that you're not practicing enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and try the same question, but I'm going to switch up the numbers a little bit. So I'm going to make this 7,500. Okay, so she spent, oh, actually, let's do 7,200 is what she spent on rent. Okay, and let's say this is 30% of her income. All right, so I'm going to give you a minute or two to try this question. When you have your answer, send the answer directly to me in the chat, and that way I know you're ready to go. Okay, I want you to give it a try, even if you say, I'm going to get stuck, I don't understand how to do it. I want you to try and get as far as you can in the question. Okay, and then when you get stuck, just send me a message. I got stuck, and I know that you at least tried. Amani, I see your question. What's a good way to practice? With practice tests. You take them out, you do the question just by doing it, and that's it. You just do it. Practice is action. It's not just watching, it's actual action. Great question. All right, so I'll quiet down. I'll give you guys a second to try it, and that's it. Good luck. Okay, I already got an answer from Alyssa. Great job. Waiting for those answers. I'll give you another minute or so before I review it, okay? All right, how are you guys doing? I haven't gotten any more answers. Do you guys need more time? Did you get stuck? Okay, Zoom user, I got yours. Cheyenne, I'll give you another minute, no worries. Thank you for letting me know. Awesome. Okay, I'm getting more answers. Great job, guys. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and review it. So again, Miss Jackson's rent during the past year was $7,200. It was 30% of her income last year. So we know that these are parts. If we remember from our last example, we're going to have 7,200 up here because this is a part. We do not know the total income, so for the whole, we're going to put X. We're going to put our 30% up here, and we're going to put 100 down here. Okay? Then we're going to cross multiply because we can cross multiply anytime we have two fractions equal to each other. So we got X times 30, that gives me 30X. And 7,200 times 100, I'm going to write the 7,200 because I'm going to do it multiply by 1. And then for each 0 that the 100 has, I'm going to add a 0 to the end of this. 1, 2, 1, 2. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. I want to double check that. It's very easy to get lost with that. Now we're going to divide by 30. Okay. Whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we also do to the other side of the equal sign. This cancels out, and it leaves X by itself, which is exactly what we wanted. That's how we solve for X. And here, because we're dividing by 30, we get to actually do a little bit of a shortcut. We get to eliminate 1 0 top and bottom. Okay. Why only 1? We can only eliminate the number of zeros that the top and bottom have in common. Here, the bottom only has 1 0, so that limits us to only 1 0 being eliminated. But this helps us because this makes the number smaller. Now this is 72, 1, 2, 3 zeros. So 72,000 divided by 3. Okay? So far, so good, everyone? Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and divide. So 72,000 divided by 3. These are way smaller numbers, so this is going to be so much easier than the last one. 3 goes into 7 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. We bring down our 2. 3 goes into 3 goes into 12 4 times. Let me erase this 3 because it's in my way. 4 times 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 minus 12 is 0. Now I have to bring down each of these 3 zeros and divide each of them by 3. So first one, bring it down. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. Second one, bring it down. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. Third one, bring it down. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. I know that feels redundant, but it makes sure that we're doing things correctly and that we don't miss a 0 or it throws us off. Okay? So my final answer here is 24,000. Okay? So some of you got it right. Some of you got a little confused with the zeros. I don't know if it was with the multiplying part or the dividing part, but you were really close. So good job, everyone. How do you feel about this question? Does this make more sense now after you did a little bit of practice with it? Okay, Cheyenne, I got it. I got your message. What, if you don't mind telling me, what step was it that confused you about that? And I will be happy to review it right now. Or is it just, it's like you need to practice it more, you think?
After we got the -6, and then you brought it down, the 1 and the 2, I got confused there.
Okay, perfect. If everyone can bear with me for a second, I'm gonna go back and explain that step one more time. So with long division, division is basically we repeat the same steps again and again and again until we can't anymore. The steps are 1, divide, 2, multiply. I'm gonna kind of shorten them. 3, subtract. 4, bring down. And then once we get to bring down, we go right back up to divide and we keep repeating it. Okay? So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to do these again real quick. This is a good number to practice with because it's a large number, but it's not a difficult number. Okay? So we always start with the first number. If we can divide into it, then perfect. If not, then we have to kind of adopt the number next to it. But here, does 3 go into 7? Yes. 3 can go into 7 2 times, right? So we put a 2 up here. Oh, I am still on eraser. Okay, we put the 2 up here, so we divided. Now our next one is to multiply. 2 times 3, 6. Perfect. Now our next one is to subtract. 7 minus 6, 1. Check. Now we bring down the next number, which is 2. We bring it down here, and this turns this 1 into a 12. So we brought it down, and now we go all the way back up to step number 1, which is to divide. How many times does 3 go into 12? 4 times. So we put our 4 up there, check. Now our next step is to multiply. 4 times 3, we put the answer down here, 12, multiplied, check. Our next step is to subtract. 12 minus 12 is 0, check. And our next thing is to bring down, 0. Perfect. Now we start all over. Now with this one, I kind of did a little shortcut, and instead of writing out each step after these zeros, I didn't. I just kept bringing down the zeros. But technically we would have to do like 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 0 times 3, 0. 0 minus 0, 0. Bring down the next 0. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 3 times 0, 0. 0 minus 0, and like that. We would keep going until we can't bring down any more numbers and we end with 0. That would be where we stop. That's our cue to stop because we can't go back to number 1 anymore. All right. Okay, perfect. Perfect. I'm glad to hear that you understand it now. Great question. I'm glad you said something. A lot of people don't say anything and they stay confused. So that was very good that you said something. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the next question? Awesome. Let's do it. So this is a fun question. All right. Let's read it first and then I'll explain how to do it. So the question says, the money used in Denmark is called the Danish krone. The exchange rate for 90 krone is $15. How many krone would you receive if you exchanged $80? Okay, so this is a conversion question, or sometimes people like to call them proportion questions. Regardless of what people like to call them, we solve it always the same way. And that is with comparing scenario 1 to scenario 2. Here, scenario 1 is the exchange rate. Okay, the exchange rate is 90 krone is $15. Scenario 2 is the actual question. How many krone, which we would say is X, because that's our unknown and we call our unknowns X, would you exchange for $80? Okay, and the way we compare these two scenarios to each other is with two fractions equal to each other. So we're going to set up our two trusty fractions again. They're back from the last question. This little fraction setup is going to solve a lot of problems for you on the ASVAB. So, learn it because it's very good. In our first fraction, we're going to set up our first scenario, which is the exchange rate. 90 krone, so I'm going to put 90 and a little k, so I know it's krone. $15. Now, can I put the 90 krone on the bottom and the $15 on top? Yes. It doesn't matter. When you're setting up the first fraction, it doesn't matter where you put stuff as long as the first scenario is in the same fraction. Okay? Now, when we write the second fraction, we have to make sure that we align the units with each other. So if I put krone on the top, then in the second fraction, I also have to put krone on the top and dollars on the bottom. If I would have put dollars on the top, then in the second fraction, I would have to put dollars on the top. Okay? So I just have to be consistent. That's all I need to do here. So my second scenario, how many krone? We call it X. I'm still going to put my little k so I know that I'm good and I'm aligning my units, okay? And my $80 in the bottom. All right, so my units are aligned. I filled everything in. What do I do when I have two fractions equal to each other? I cross multiply, okay? So 15 times X. We can ignore the little k's. I just put that there for us. So 15 times X is 15X. 90 times 80, 72, 1, 2, 7,200. Okay? And I'm going to divide by 15. If you're wondering how I did that math so fast, remember the shortcut I showed you in the last question where I multiplied 9 times 8 or whatever times 1? Okay? 9 times 8 gives me 72. And there's 1, 2 zeros in my question. So there'll be 1, 2 zeros in my answer. Okay? So yes, we have to do a lot of the math by hand, but there's little tricks like that that help us save some time. Okay? Any questions so far? All right, let's keep going. So now, We're dividing by 15. This cancels out and leaves x by itself, which is what I wanted. And now over here, I'm going to do 7,200 divided by 15. So 15 times 2 is 30. 15 times 3 is 45. 15 times 4 is 60. And 60 plus 15 is 75. So 15 times 5 would be 75. 75 is too big, so I'm going to bring it back down to 4. 15 times 4 is 60. If you cannot do that math in your head, go as far as you can and then keep multiplying up until you get to your answer, okay? Now, we're going to subtract here. Our first step is to divide. Our second step is to multiply. Our third step is to subtract. So 2 minus 0, 2. 7 minus 6, 1. Okay? Now we bring down, that's step number 4. And now we're going to do it again. 15 goes into 120. So here, 15, we know that 15 times 4 is 60. So I'm going to try 15 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. So it's exactly 8. I'm going to put an 8 up here. I'm going to multiply and put it here. I'm going to subtract. 120 minus 120 gives me 0. Am I done? I am not. I still have one more 0 to bring down. Don't let that fool you. 15 goes into 0. 0 times 0 minus 0 is 0, right? Good, Sebastian. Okay. Do we have any more zeros to bring down? No, we've brought everything down. That's it. This is where we stop. So my answer here is 480 krone, or A. All right. Any questions about any of these steps? All right, Amani, what's up? I'm loving the interaction, guys. This is awesome. Okay, Cheyenne, when you're putting 15 into the 72, the number always goes in the second place. That's a great question. So when we're dividing, I'm going to do this. Let's pretend it's just 720. My answer always goes in the ones place of whatever number I'm dividing. Like it goes above the ones place. It's just proper notation. It's not like a big deal, but it's always good to know that and do that because when we're dividing and we're working with decimals and division, not putting it in the right place can mess us up. So we don't want that. We want to always put in the right place. So if here 15 goes into 72 4 times, it's going to go above the 4 because the ones place is the 2 in 72. So that's why it goes above that. Okay? So if I couldn't go into 72 and let's say my ends, blah, blah, blah. Let's say this is not 15, but instead it's 5. 5 goes into 7 one time. 7 is the ones place, so my answer goes above the 7. If I was doing this as like 105, and I can't divide it into 72, but I can divide it into 720, my answer would go here. I think this would be closer to like 4, 5. I think it's 5. So it would go over the 0 in the 720. It's always going to go above whatever my ones place is, okay? Okay, how did I get the 4 when I'm dividing? Great question. So I kind of did the math in my head, but if you can't think of the multiplication tables for 15, you can just do this. So 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. Okay? 15 times 3, 3 times 5, 15, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1, 4. 45. Am I close to my 72 yet? No. So I'm going to try 15 times 4. You can always add 15, but sometimes people forget how many times they've added, and then they write the wrong answer. So I always like to multiply 1 by 1. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 2, 6. 60. Okay? So I'm getting closer, but let's try 15 times 5 to make sure there's not something even closer that we missed. Okay? 15 times 5, 25. Sorry. 5 times 5, 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 1, 5 plus 2, 7. So 75 is too big. It passed the 72. That's not going to work. So I'm going to do 15 times 4, 60. So I put my 4 up here. I put my 60 down here. And I subtract. I get 12. And I bring down the next number. Okay. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay, these are great questions, guys. I'm glad you're asking questions about the division. A lot of people get stuck with division, and it's really important to learn how to do that because you might know all the steps, but if you're not good with division, it doesn't matter. You're going to get stuff wrong. You don't want that to happen to you. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to repeat the same question, but I'm going to change up the numbers for you a little bit, okay? So let's say that this is 60, okay, for every $12. How much would you receive for, yeah, let's leave it 80, okay? All right. Go ahead and give this one a try. When you have your answer, send it directly to me. Good luck, guys. Remember, try it even if you're confused, even if you're not sure. Go as far as you can, and when you get stuck, let me know. And at least I know you're working on it. Okay, awesome. I'm starting to get answers. Don't worry, Alyssa. That's good. I made up the number, so we're going to discover what the answer is together. So don't worry, okay? Do you guys need more time? How are we doing? All right, I'll give you another minute or so, and then we'll get into it. Awesome, I'm getting more answers. I'll give Cheyenne, Needy, Maritza, and Sebastian a little more time. Okay, all right, perfect. No worries, we're gonna go over it right now. All right, making sure I didn't mute myself, sorry. So the money in Denmark is the Danish krone. The exchange rate is $60, 60 krone for every $12. How many krone would you receive if you exchanged $80? So we're going to set up our two fractions with our two scenarios. Our first scenario is going to be the exchange rate. Our second scenario is going to be what we're actually looking for. All right, so first scenario, good job, Maritza, I just saw that. First scenario, 60, I'm going to put K for krone, so I'm not confused with units, over $12. Okay, my second scenario, I don't know the number of krone, so I'm going to put X. That's what I call things I don't know. I still put my little K there so I can make sure, okay, and my units are correct. Yes. And I'm going to put $80 down here because that's how much I am exchanging. Okay, now I'm going to cross multiply. 12 times X is 12X. 60 times 80. Remember, I can multiply the non-zero numbers. 6 times 8, 48. And I go 1, 2 zeros, 1, 2 zeros. Okay? All right. Now I want to solve for X. That 12 is multiplied to the X. So I'm going to get rid of it by dividing. And whatever I do to one side of this equal sign, I have to do to the other side of the equal sign. This cancels it out and leaves the X by itself on this side of the equal sign. And now I'm going to divide. So I'm going to do that down here. 4,800 divided by 12. I can't do 12 goes into 4. So I'm going to do 12 goes into 48 4 times. Okay? 12 times 4 is 48. 48 minus 48 is 0. Now that I've done this, I bring down my other 0. Sorry, I bring down the next number, which is 0. 12 goes into 0 0 times. And I bring down my other 0. 12 goes into 0 0 times. I have no more zeros or numbers to bring down. So that's it, I'm done. My answer here is 400. And it looks like almost everyone got it. Cheyenne, I know you said you kind of got stuck on one of these. Where was it that I lost you?
So I was able to get the 4 and the 0, but I couldn't get the other 0 because I've been forgetting to bring down my answer. So like I forgot to bring down and subtract 48 to get the rest of my 0.
Okay, all right, so you're getting closer. This is good. The division is not easy. So good job. Okay, Amani's asking, is this lesson being recorded? Yes, we're actually live on YouTube right now. So if you go to our YouTube channel and you want to rewatch this, you can. It'll be on there. Great question. Okay, so guys, we ran out of time. I'm going to bring everybody back together so we can talk a little bit about how we can help you further from here. So I'm going to stop sharing this. Actually, let me leave it here for a second. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this. And waiting for everybody to come back in. This is a nice group. I hope this was helpful, guys. I know we only got to go over two different concepts, but I'm going to tell you right now that percents and these proportion questions are some of the most common questions in the arithmetic reasoning section. So this is a good topic to go over. These are good questions to practice with. What I would challenge you with is trying to do more difficult versions of these questions. These are pretty basic questions. They're like medium. I wouldn't say they're easy, but I would say they're medium. There's a lot of other questions that are more difficult than this. Okay. So make sure that you're prepared for that. Yes, I know Amani raised their hand and Sebastian. What's up? Okay, the paid course, I'm going to give you the link to that right now. All right, let me stop sharing this and let me share with you guys the information that I have for you on our course. So I hope, welcome back, Amelia's group. I hope you guys had a good class. I hope you had fun with ASVAB math stuff. That's such a nerdy thing to say, but it's okay. All right, so I mentioned to you guys earlier before we started our groups that we have these classes every single week. We do 4 classes a week every single week. Okay, so if you are interested in continuing to do these classes, we're offering you just like a special discount to say thank you for coming to class today. So you just scan that QR code and you can use that code down there and you're gonna get 20% off of our ASVAB prep kit. So you get the course, which is like your online workbook. You'll get these 4 classes every single week. It'll be in the small groups, just like we did today. In my group, you guys noticed you were able to ask questions. If there was a step you didn't understand, we went back and we reviewed it. So we like I said, we do this 4 times a week, so you'll be able to come to class and do exactly what we did today. And that helps to support what you're doing in the course, okay? And it includes a 30-day study guide. That 30-day study guide tells you exactly what lessons to do every single day so that you can finish the program in 30 days, which is usually the time it takes or the time you're given after you don't pass the ASVAB and you need to retake. So if you have that deadline, this will be perfect for you. And it also includes 3 additional practice tests. So the course includes 3 practice tests. We give you 3 more, so you'll get 6 full practice tests. Sorry, 6 AFQT practice tests to work with. And remember, practice is what's going to help you study for the ASVAB really, really well. So make sure that you scan here to go to the link to the website. Let me see. I'm going to give you the link directly as well in case you're not able to scan it. All right, let me see. Okay, sorry, I had a moment there. All right, I'm sending the link to you guys directly in the chat in case you're not able to scan it. All right, and that's it. Any questions for me before we go? Sebastian, yeah, what's up?
So yeah, before you like switched slides, that little method that you showed me for fractions and percentages, that can also be helpful for exchangings
You
or
mean the
what?
exchange rate?
Yes,
Like how we
that can
did
also,
with the Yes. So those two fractions equal to each other, we can use them with proportions, we can use them with rates, we use them with ratios. There's a lot of different kinds of questions that we can use that with.
well that was actually pretty impressive that we get to not only use it with percentages but with you know other kind of questions that are not percentages problems.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It makes it way easier.
It
I,
definitely does.
yeah. You know what, guys? The QR code is not working right now. Let me see if I can fix it for you all. I'm also going to email it to everyone. So if it's not working properly right now, I'm so sorry. I'm going to fix it so that you guys can do it right away. Mm. Now, this coupon code that I just gave you guys is going to be available for the next couple of days. Okay. So I will send you the information there. And if you have any questions, you can always email me back and let me know. All right. Okay. So I'm going to send the link one more time. For some reason, the QR code is not working. So use the link I just sent you. No, it's not working on there either. All right, guys, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to fix this and I will send everyone an email so that you're able to purchase it. Okay. All right. So thank you again, everyone, for being here today. And thank you for giving us your time. I really enjoyed having you all in class. So I hope I get to see you soon. I hope we all get to see you in class soon, okay? And yes, Amani, I will be emailing the link. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm sorry about that. You guys have a great evening.